What's going on? It's been maybe a month since my last video, and I don't know. I trust this last month has not been in vain. I guess you could say I've been doing some reshaping, some insight, some rebuild. Yeah, that's the word. I've been going through a rebuild of the self. Obviously I've been going through this rebuild of the self for much longer than a month, but the last month has probably been the most intense it's gotten. And I'd love to pet my cat, but I'm gonna get distracted. I can't. I have ADHD. But anyway, oh my god. Anyway, during this rebuild of the self, I've been exploring who I am and what it means to be me and who I want to be. This past year has been super transformative for me. And really this past 2 months, I've been going through like really extreme shifts and change in my life. And I've been trying to figure out who I am, remember who I am, and also create who I want to be. And like those three things are so taxing, and it's so hard to like, no, I'm not even gonna go down that road. I'm not here to throw a pity party, but that leads me to what I wanted to talk about today, which is identity. Identity. I have this new idea I came up with one day, and I was like, you know what? Well, I came up with this, but I came up with it for myself. That why don't I, from now on, to add some structure, because I feel like that's what my videos have been lacking. I was kind of just doing them whenever I felt like it. To add some structure to my content, I'm gonna create themes. Some people know, but if you don't know, I say some people, like I have a bunch of viewers. If you don't know, I've recently been posting on TikTok. I believe my TikTok is linked in my bio on YouTube, but I'll link it down below in the description. But I've been posting on TikTok recently. I am going to get my TikTok to a point where I'm posting at least one video of me talking a week and 2 posts that might be stationary posts or just like photos of like a slideshow. One of those 2 posts, I know what they're going to be. One post is going to be what I've developed called What's for Lunch Wednesdays. It's supposed to be Wednesdays, but I think I'm just going to drop the Wednesdays. I'm just going to make it What's for Lunch. And it's essentially everything I've consumed over that past week leading up to that day. Recently I introduced food. So I'm going to continue to develop that and figure out what I want to do with that. But that's going to be a weekly thing. The next one's going to drop tomorrow morning. Today I'm recording this on Wednesday, so that's going to be Thursday. This video is probably also going to drop tomorrow morning. So everything's going to drop today if you're watching it today, which is Thursday. That adds to my theme, which is going to be the talking head TikTok I'm going to do, which is going to be, it's a series I'm going to start called I Spoke to Silence. Essentially, it's a breakdown of my conversations with my shadow self, as well as some deep diving I've been doing into my psyche. And it's going to revolve around the theme, because the theme isn't predetermined necessarily. The theme is what I feel called to talk about, or what has been essentially what I've been working on for months. It might be 1 month, 2 months, well, however long the theme is, but it's going to be separated into topics. It might be a topic a week. I don't know. I'm still ruffling out those details. But as of right now, to tie everything back in, remembering who I am, figuring out who I want to be and creating that future self is a part of my current evolution and my current theme of identity under the sub theme of names. And what does your name mean to you? And what does my name mean to me? But in this video, I'm probably not going to do the names thing. Something else I forget to mention. There's this app that I discovered. Well, I didn't discover it, but I ran into it not too long ago by the hands of another person on TikTok. I forget their name. I'm probably going to link their thing to show homage in the description. But it's an app called Substack, where it's essentially like a combination of like Reddit, Twitter, and just really, it's just, I'm not even gonna compare it to anything. It's its own social media platform where it's more long form and mindful. And that's their whole point, to be mindful, to talk about things that likely don't get as much coverage on other social media apps. And you can also, you can type up think pieces, essays, videos, little short, like tweet type of things. And coming soon, I have an essay that I'm writing, and it's about names. I'm not going to say too much because I'm finishing up with it soon. It's probably going to be done by Friday, and don't quote me on that. But essentially, all in all, this video is going to be just like a minor recap of where I've been, but also introductions of what's to come, with also a little talking point on identity that I wanted to talk about in a video. So on Substack, I have an essay coming up. I'm going to be probably linking that everywhere. So YouTube, TikTok, all of that. That's that. Yeah, Substack. I have a essay coming up. Look out for that. But anyway, the essay is going to be on names, which, like I said, is a sub theme for my major theme right now in life, which is identity. So finally, now that I got all of that out the way, identity. I wanted to talk about identity today. Identity is a hard topic to really grasp because it sounds as simple in its most simple form. It seems like just characterization. It seems like just description, who, maybe where, what, when, how type of thing. But as I've began to dive deeper into the different facets of identity and how it correlates to everyone's day-to-day life, especially mine, because I can only reflect on my own life. Identity is literally ingrained in everything we do. Everything is a part of our identity. From what leg you cross when you cross your legs, to what foot you tap when you're anxious, and even further towards how someone talks about you when you're not around. All of those things are a part of your identity. Some of your identity is in your control. Other parts of your identity are up to interpretation, and there's nothing you can do about that. Well, I can't say nothing. There are things you can do about that, but you can't affect how everyone sees you because, you don't know who's talking about you, But you can do the best you can to be the best version of yourself, to make sure that any representation put out by you aligns with you as much as possible. And that's not easy. That sounds much easier said than done. And that's where self-discovery, or should I say self-rediscovery, comes in. I think as a culture, we've become so obsessed with the idea of finding yourself. We search for ourselves in other people, in objects, in hobbies, in pastimes. We try to find ourselves. When really, one of the main things we should be doing before we're even looking outwards is looking inwards. We should be seeking to rediscover ourselves because we already exist. Our energy is already here. We have so many suppressed neglected, you know, facets of our being that if you were to do a little, sifting and digging and even just like hovering over, you'll realize, oh snap, there's more to this than I know. There's more to me than I know. There's more to me than the masks I put on. Not that there's anything wrong inherently with masks, because I don't know. I don't know where I'm at on that, but I don't think you want to give your entire being to your whole energy to just anyone. I don't know if that's the most wise thing, but identity is who you are. It's even the masks are your identity, because how you choose to mask your true self is based off of who you are. And that goes down to your past. That might be past transgressions, trauma, or some of the best moments of your life. Some people create trauma based off of positive moments, just off of something was so good they don't want to experience it again. Or even, something being so bad that they feel like that's all that they can manage in this life is the negative. And that's where rediscovering who you are underneath everything is so important, because ultimately we are who we are. And that's not to say we can't change. I don't mean we are as in like that's just who you are forever. I mean that to say even who we become is dependent on who we were. How we interpret and how we manage our being is based off prior experience. And unpacking prior experience, is wisdom. Wisdom isn't just living for 80 years. If you lived for 80 years and never reflected once, you're not wise. You have to experience and then reflect to be wise, because to extrapolate the information necessary to gain wisdom, you have to look at it. Something can't just happen and then you just turn your head to it. No, that's not how life works. Well, no, it works like that for some people, but that's not how you become wise. That's not how wisdom comes to you. Wisdom is earned, not inherent. Wisdom is earned by virtue of the work that it takes to reflect. That is not an easy thing. And I'm not saying it like it's just a simple thing. People have been through some things. That doesn't mean it's the end for you. That doesn't mean that life just stops there. Grief is important. Grief is important to process and realize how this thing that happened relates and connects to you. But if grief starts to freeze you and you're just stuck in that moment, in that area, that becomes your identity. You become grief. You become anger. You become sadness. There's nothing wrong with experiencing those emotions, but understand that they are meant to be experienced, not to be lived in. Not the same thing. Experiences come and go. Life, not so much. And like I said, everything's up to you. You don't choose where you come from. You don't choose your spawn location. You don't choose who births you. You don't choose your family environment. You don't choose that. But you can choose what you become. You can choose who you become more specifically. And you can choose where you end up. Those are choices. Life is choice. Identity. It's a powerful concept. Yet it can be very simple. If you make it complicated, it's going to be complicated. But really, it's as simple as self-rediscovery and creation of the future self. But creation of the future self will always be stagnant if you do not look at who you are already. Identity. To craft a new identity is to figure out your current one. Thank you.